Sophie, with the show garden, I mean, it's all finished, but where does it actually begin from a concept stage?
Well, I'm very fortunate, Costa, that I'm invited to create a feature garden on behalf of the Royal Agricultural and Horticultural Society, and I get to choose a topic that I'm passionate about at the time. And so rather than just do a pretty garden, which I hope it is, there's always a message.
And a theme.
And this one's called Grow Up, because as I drive around Adelaide or any place and we see urban infill, we see the traditional house on a bigger block chopped up into multiple little townhouses, and often the people that buy them don't know what to do with smaller spaces. So this is about giving them ideas on what they can do in a small space so it's still colourful, but also important things like trying to green it up and cool it down, because the urban heat island effect is concerning countries around the world, and we're in hot, dry Adelaide.
Yeah, and the thing is, the smaller spaces, whilst they can be more challenging because you might have little wind tunnels or you might have shade or sun in certain parts, it doesn't mean that you can't create a garden. And looking at this, it's exactly a replica of those kinds of little microclimates that are created by urban infill.
Absolutely, and you know, this is an inside display, so it's really tricky, but it's trying to show people that, you know, you can have skinny trees. So here we've got some columnar trees, so if it's a small space you can choose columnar trees. Even if you had a little courtyard, you still need shade trees, because, you know, it makes it more livable for you, but also the other creatures we want to invite into our garden. And in particular, in our climate, I'm passionate about deciduous trees, because they let the precious winter sunshine in, which I need to warm my soul, and they, you know, keep us shady and cool in summer.
And I mean, from a footprint point of view, with so many blocks getting smaller, you then start to look to the real estate vertically.
Absolutely.
As almost a mirror in square meterage of the space that you have on the ground. It might be limited here, but then suddenly you're taking advantage of all that vertical space.
So we are, and because this is, you know, in early spring, if it was in autumn and it was outside, you know, I could actually show my vertical veggies, which are my favourite way to grow up and cool down, because I can plant something in, say, late November and it'll be shady by the time we get to summer, you know, grow up something. But here we couldn't do that, so we have got a couple of sections of green walls. You know, I won't say they're easy in our climate. You've got to have irrigation plugged in, but we've got one growing veggies over there and one just growing, you know, shade-loving indoor plants. But the other thing I've tried to demonstrate inside at the wrong time of year is a vine-covered pergola up the top. So, you know, it could be with a grapevine or anything. At the moment it's winter. Well, we've come out of winter, so obviously the vine-covered pergola is deciduous. But, you know, so it's all about how we can create shade in small spaces. But this footprint of this garden is 12 by 10 metres, and we've got the containers plonked in there. So it's given us several different areas. So we're looking at, you know, colourful, fun, there's no hard surfaces in there. I love sawdust paths, you know, that mightn't be practical in a garden. But, you know, trying to minimise hot reflective surfaces is really important.
And you've got a mix of species as well, so they're serving a purpose in the sense of colour, texture, and then habitat.
Well, they are. So one of the biggest threats to wildlife in our cities is the lack of urban habitat. And if we green up our spaces, you know, every backyard can become a biodiversity hotspot. And then the other thing that we know about food security has become in the last couple of years. So, you know, you could grow food theoretically vertically if you had a green wall, or you could grow it up mesh. But also, you know, in our hot, dry climate, I'm a huge fan of wicking beds.
Wicking, yeah.
I've forgotten to get the signage in there yet, but, you know, that's showing people what you can put in the bottom of a wicking bed. And you could have some fruit trees, you could have some veggies. Obviously, you're not going to be self-sufficient in a tiny courtyard, but it's about growing those high-value leafy greens, you know, some tomatoes, things that make you feel good when you put them in your mouth and they explode with flavour.
And particularly the repeat pick. I mean, your lettuces, the leafy greens, all of those things that you can just go out, and regardless of what main you might be putting together, you've always got a side salad or a main salad that you can you can get literally within seconds from the garden, and they're just growing almost as borders and as infill plants. Here you've got kale, but it looks nice as an actual ornamental feature as well.
Absolutely, and the other thing is that, you know, there's a move in many sort of small urban farms now to allocate about a third of their productive space to flowers, to bring in the beneficials. So, you know, we want to have the bees, we want to have, you know, the ladybirds, all that sort of thing. So there's interpretive signage right throughout the garden. Like, you know, here it says daisies and umbels. That's because these flowers have got lots of little nectar-rich flowers, all good for the beneficials like ladybirds, lacewings and hoverflies that have tiny mouths. And so it's all about sort of showing people different things they should be interested in. And as you walk around the garden, and, you know, I love colour.
Yeah.
Now, you know, so for me, how can you tell? Orange, purple, bright blue, red. This is also an excuse for me to have fun, let's be honest.
Yeah, of course.
But, you know, I couldn't show climbing plants growing up mesh to shade a building. But instead, you know, these are our old dip tins, which were part of our riverland culture. Yeah. You know, and so we've got all sorts of things. And if we look up now, Costa, it doesn't go on for long. There's the misters. Because in small spaces, misters put out this fine droplets of water, and that can significantly drop the air temperature in small spaces.
Yeah, microclimatically, all of a sudden this space isn't heating up hour after hour after hour to that point by mid-afternoon the plants are really feeling it.
But I think people think they use a lot of water, and the reality is if you run a mister for 30 minutes, it's the same amount of water usage as a 1 minute shorter shower.
Wow.
So you could run that. You know, here we've just got them coming on regularly just to show people what they do, and also that you can feel you don't actually get wet.
No.
Right? It just cools and drops the air temperature. Now, you know, here in Adelaide at the moment, it's pretty cool, but even coming through the glass by the end of today, it'll be warm here. So it's all about thinking through how we can cool down our urban spaces and green them up, and that's good for not only us but for the birds, bees, and butterflies.
Exactly, and I mean, you know, looking through here from the vegetables to the beneficial plantings, I mean, even putting something as compact as that little chicken coop, that people can still have something like that, you know, particularly for young families in a small space, that they can have the benefits of chickens as pets.
Oh, and they're wonderful, aren't they? And those girls have been chosen specifically. They're frizzles, which are very calm in nature, and we've tried a few different chooks here, and we can't have them running around the showgrounds, even though it is an agricultural show. So we've chosen varieties that we know to be very placid, and, you know, they have fun and they still lay us eggs in here. So, but this is a section that I'm excited about because, you know, water is a limited resource here in South Australia, and I think we need to think we can't be watering everything, but so part of this is meant to emulate that we could adopt the verge, right? Now, how do you show that with limited space? So I've got a metre along here that we've filled with native plants. Ideally, they should be local indigenous plants, but because I need plants for colour right now, and what I can get available in pots, so the varieties here have been tweaked a bit, but it's all about saying if everyone planted their verge, which you've inspired half the nation to do, we could create wildlife corridors.
And you think about it, like the carpet here is symbolic of a heat sink reflective hot asphalt road.
Yep.
And you look at that and what it would do to the heat that's being broadcast off this. Suddenly you've got this cool zone, which then affects the temperature of the air coming across to the house. But then, as you say, the most amazing aspect of this is if we see our streets as arteries and veins, and we connect our verges, like for all the insects, for all the birds, for all the wildlife, that rewilding can start on land that currently is just there, you know, literally for dogs and for cars to park on, and you know, this is, and it's not, doesn't have to be big.
No,
you know, a metre makes a
Absolutely.
difference, a huge difference, and with these trees that you've got here.
Well, so these are emulating the, you know, the street trees with some beautiful eucalypts. You know, it's really interesting because people often do have a metre of verge and then a metre of front garden. Well, why don't we use it, you know, as wildlife corridors? I'm sure for you, but some of the most exciting stories I've filmed recently are where people are taking abandoned space. Last week for me, it was down by a railway line, a railway corridor where the community's adopting it and they're planting it up as bee and butterfly gardens. You know, we can look at all this space. So, you know, there's you know, a little native bee hotel, and there's a mini bee hotel up there. I mean, this is all stylised, but it's just meant to give people an idea of what they could do in little areas. And it's got to be fun, you know. A lot of the people that visit the Royal Adelaide Show, we get 500,000 people visit our Royal Adelaide Show per year, which is huge. 250,000 the first weekend, so it's going to be a big one. But a lot of those people that come around, they're just here looking. So this is not really for gardeners so much. This is for non-gardeners. It's bright, it's colourful. You know, what the heck is that? Is hopefully the response that they get. And they can see it from across the halls, and they come here, and if they can just tune into one or two of the concepts, that's awesome. We've got, you know, the artist sketch.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Demonstrating what it's like. Bear in mind, this was done 12 months ago because that's when we were going to build it
was
the
ready.
first time.
Yeah.
And there's more information on any of these concepts, whether it's climbing plants, columnar trees, shade trees, vine covered pergola, all those concepts. People can get more information. They can pick up a handout. So it's about just getting people thinking on the possibilities.
The other thing that I really like about what you do, as you say, you make it fun, you make it deliverable, like pieces. Like there's a comment there, native bee restaurant. Like just that word restaurant, like it makes people think differently. Oh, what food? Who's delivering? Is someone plating up? Oh, it's the flowers. And then
Uber for bees.
And then here,
Delivery.
like the art. I think that's a part of what you do that really sings and dances, from the blue banded bees to the butterflies and all of those artistic touches. That's what takes this out of the head and into the heart, because you've got the head, you know, habitat. Oh, what's habitat?
Yeah.
Like you're asking questions, you're giving answers, but I reckon this is synthesizing it through the heart, which is what we need for people that don't have a connection to it and that are looking for some, well, they might even be looking, yet they come here and they go, oh, and that's what I can't help but feel standing here in a big pavilion. You just want to come and go, what questions, and when people ask questions, then they can find the answers.
Well, that's right. And you know, we had COVID, and the last couple of years really did drive a lot of people to look for answers. And the other thing that we haven't talked about is what's inside.
Yeah.
And so a couple of years ago, back in 2019, was when I last did a show garden here. It was called Balance, and it was about home life balance, work life balance, plant life balance. It was actually before COVID, a couple of months, and who knew that so many people would be spending
the
time
balance would be whacked
in a home office. So, you know, there's a home office there to give people ideas that you can, if you have got limited space, you can bring the garden inside with indoor plants. And upstairs, and while obviously this is a display garden, people can't walk through it, we have got images of upstairs playing on a screen so people can see, oh, well, that's right, I could have lots of inside plants up there, I could have plants on a balcony. That's going to feel like the garden's come inside.
And the other thing, when I look at this, when I look at the containers, the other thing that it conjures in my mind is that current, well, it's not a trend, it's a reality around tiny homes. And people are genuinely, well, particularly younger people, are genuinely looking at tiny homes. Like this kind of small space living arrangement. All of these ideas are perfectly suited to a tiny home situation.
Absolutely, and you know, obviously this is a show garden. It's not meant to be real life, and so we have jammed things in there. But you know, plants grow. The amazing thing is most plants, if you give them about 1 square metre, you know, you put them in and they'll fill up. Now I've probably got 30 plants in 1 square metre here, but you know, it's just trying to give people ideas that they don't just have to have, you know, that small courtyard garden doesn't have to just be a paved block, which often it is. People don't know what to do, they just pave the lot and then they put a chair and table in the middle, and it's not friendly to life. Our life, or the bees, or the birds, or the butterflies. So, you know, how can we green it up? And I will point out one last thing. It's called Grow Up. Maybe we can come back and see that there. And it's Grow Up in capitals because you know, I want this to be fun, but actually I want to shout it, right? We need to green up quickly. This is not grow up in lowercase. We've deliberately chosen capitals because if we don't make a decision now to green up our cities, we're going to have, you know, wide-ranging consequences that are devastating. So we have to grow and green now. So grow up.
It's a perfect finish.
I should have shouted it.
Grow up.